Hi, I'm Marty Levinson.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that living life city, sweet home Chicago. 224, 446. Come on, baby, now get your business fixed. Come on.
Hi there, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman in the business today, Sonny Hersh, and your host, Avi Meyers.
Marty, thank you so much. Welcome everybody to the Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hersh and myself. Dial us up on the World Wide Web at ntnm.org. You can catch us in Chicago, Evanston, as well as 30th and 35 north and northwest suburbs. And amazingly enough, and I still can't believe that this is this popular this way, is all the shows now can be watched on YouTube within a day or two after they finish airing in the suburbs, courtesy of Sonny's website, ntnm.org, your guide to these shows. And we are way over 10,000 individual shows watched in just a few months. It is almost scary. Don't you people have something better to do?
Makes me feel good.
It's just amazing. It really is. And it is my pleasure and privilege to have the state senator of the 8th District. And I know that. The only reason I remember that, besides for the fact that I live in the 8th District, is your license plate is 8.
That's correct.
So that helps a lot. And we're talking about Senator Ira Silverstein. Senator, how you doing?
Good to be back.
First of all, thank you very much. And you're certainly kicking up the dust these days.
Well, I've been living in Springfield the majority of the summer. So,
yeah, sorry about that, although it's nice tan.
Believe me, this summer was pretty miserable. And unfortunately, as people know, we're stuck in some overtime session in Springfield. It was pretty bad. I mean, and it's still going on.
It's still going on.
We haven't resolved a lot of issues. It's unfortunate. The egos are getting bigger than the rotunda. And it's
good line.
Yeah, thanks. It's the truth. It's really unfortunate for the public to read about this every day in the paper, and it's I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict anymore. There's too many fights, too many egos. Everyone wants to be the head honcho, and the public, unfortunately, is losing the battle. And a lot of us who are very upset, we're fed up with it because we want to see some education reform. We want to see money for the CTA. But the battles and the egos, who wants to be the head person, is getting really out of place right now.
Yeah, by the time this airs, there may no longer be a Lunt bus. There may not be a California bus.
Well, as of today,
I don't know what happened in the House.
The House voted there was going to be a tax increase, a transfer tax when you sell your home, a $3 tax increase. It lost by 10 votes. That money would go to the CTA. And the CTA has put forth a doomsday budget, and unfortunately the House voted it down by 10 votes. The Republicans did not want to put any votes on it. I don't know the roll call, but they're holding out for a capital bill. And again, this is another example where the egos are getting too much involved down there, and it's disheartening. But I'm trying to move forward. I mean, same thing with education reform. A lot of us thought that we were going to have this year was going to be the year. Whether it be a casino, whether it be some type of tax increase coupled with property tax relief, nothing happened. We allocated $600 million to education. It's an extra $400 per pupil, but it's not enough. I mean, everyone, the only game was gaming, so to speak, and it didn't happen.
I do know that, it's been a mess, period, and big mess. I'm trying to think. This is not going to be. Here's the problem. We're not going to be. This show isn't going to be on until like 2 or 3 weeks after it airs. So it's hard to say. One of the things that really scared me that I never really realized, I never really got into depth on how much power not the Speaker of the House has, the President pro tem of the Senate, and the Governor. I knew to a certain extent, but it seems that they have power over and above just about any legislative body I've ever heard of.
Especially in the House, the Speaker has a lot of control of some of his members, and the same thing in the Senate. President Jones has control over a lot of us. A lot of us speak back to the President. I mean, we will tell, and I will personally tell President Jones, I don't like what's going on here, and I've been known to vote against what he wants. An example, the gross receipt sales tax, gross receipt tax. The governor was pushing. Emil Jones was pushing it. I was against it. This was a tax that was going to hurt the consumer. We're going to tax every part of a product or an item, and eventually the prices are going to go up. I disagree with that. Yes, there is a lot of power that these three men wield, and the question is they have to use the power, in a good way. And unfortunately, it's been used more as an adversarial, kick you, kick me, that type of stuff. And it's really a bad situation in Springfield. And I don't no idea, especially with the governor, what he's been doing, vetoing certain items, not vetoing certain items, calling us back into session literally the whole summer when we did not do a thing. If we go down there and we'd be called in and adjourned within about 10 or 15 minutes, and nothing was going on.
Speaking as somebody who doesn't have any vested interest in any of the three parties, I look at this stuff and I'm seeing that, what do I learn? That Jones has a lot of people that work for the utility companies in his family. The governor certainly, he didn't even come forth with his agenda in the first place for the health care or the gross receipts tax.
You're right.
He didn't talk about it during his campaign at all.
The governor surprised, we're all for universal health care. I don't think you're going to get a legislator that's going to say no to that. The question is, how are we going to fund it? A lot of us think that maybe this should be on a national level.
I was going to say that exactly.
At federal level.
I had a long conversation with Congressman Schakowsky on the air about it a couple weeks ago.
And it's a good idea. He's got good proposals, but how are we going to fund it, and how much is it going to cost the state? And a lot of us have some concerns about that. The Constitution says that our priority is education. Now, I'm for the health care plan, but it's not for health care, and I would like to see some more money in education. Our schools, just opening up this month, need more money, and unfortunately they don't have the money they need.
Isn't this also going to delay what might happen? Isn't this money just going to be sitting somewhere? In other words, whether it's building a school or funding programs for schools, is this delaying money till the education?
No, the money's being funded. Because he signed the budget, hasn't been overwritten, and it won't. I doubt it will be overwritten. But like for capital programs, we wanted a capital plan to build new schools, add on construction. Unfortunately, we had a bill in the Senate to do it, which would. The new money would come from gaming, a couple of casinos, one in Chicago. Unfortunately, we needed 36 votes. We needed 37 votes, and we needed some Republicans to help out. And it was at midnight. It was 12:30 in the morning on that day. I remember Thursday night. After we voted the budget, we removed this capital bill, and the Republicans stayed off of it. So there's no capital projects. And I have to blame my Republican counterparts because of this, because had they worked with us, and they were working with us, they helped negotiate this bill. It came through my committee. We were working with them. They knew it was on, but last minute they pulled it off at the 11th hour. But I'm hoping that cooler minds will prevail, and I hope that some of these people in power will get some reason.
Well, it would seem like right now, I hate to say it, but it just seems like both state houses and the governor's office just don't have the welfare of the citizens of the state of Illinois in mind.
Well, I think they have the welfare, but they all have their different priorities.
So, well, that's a nice way of putting it. I would basically say they have their own personal interests in mind first, for the most part.
I totally agree with you. Each one has their own priorities, their own personal interests, and their own game plan. And when everyone is not on the same page with the same game plan, it's not going to work.
Now, let's talk about the utilities a little bit. Now, that's pretty much a settled issue now?
Yes, that was a very big issue in Springfield. I was the sponsor of the freeze, the 3-year freeze. We did work out a deal with ComEd and everything. It wasn't the greatest deal, unfortunately. Again, like I said, the president would not call my bill for the freeze. So, that's exactly what you're saying.
Right. Well, he's got all his family's working for the utility companies in 6-figure contracts.
Well, that's,
that's a real shock.
And that is wrong. And then when that came out, that got us, a lot of us, including myself, very upset. But I was trying to get a freeze in place. So they worked out this deal, which was between the House and the Senate and everybody. There'll be a credits. And here's a good example. From the very beginning, I was pushing this. I wanted the governor to get involved.
Yeah.
Get on board, get at the table. He stayed away. But finally, they put together some package. There is going to be a new power authority, a new agency, which will, this reverse auction started the whole mess. That's what caused all the rates to go up. That's gone. And there will be a power authority to help regulate how power is bought, which I think is going to help consumers out tremendously.
And the interesting thing is, this is a mess you knew was coming that everybody talked about, because the same thing's done in New Jersey, where they have about the highest rates for power. you know, because of this auction process, and you just knew it was going to happen.
It was sooner or later it's going to happen. It happened this year. Unfortunately, our downstate citizens got hit worse than up here, but, you know.
Because, Ameren got frozen at a much lower level.
Yeah, and they started raising their rates during the wintertime. 50 or 60%, which is outrageous. That's what started. It was like a volcano erupting. So, getting rid of starting this new power authority where the state will regulate the power, purchase of power, I think is a great move. It will protect the consumers, and we'll just see what happens.
Well, good luck. In terms of, so as far as I know, like this session might be going about a year and a half from now? Or?
Well, it's interesting. We just got the schedule for our veto session to be back there in October, and the House is still working, and we still have a lot of unfinished business to do down there. So the budget's passed. Whether it's overridden, I seriously doubt it, because the House hasn't even started the process yet. So we'll have to see what happens.
I remember when I was a kid, the way things worked is the state legislature, Senate and House, only met every other year.
Yeah,
and
those days are gone.
Yeah, no offense. I think we were a lot better off. By the way, the salary in those days, too, was $8,000 a year for those guys.
Well, but it's been, like I said, it was a very long summer, and nothing really got done except a lot of rhetoric and fighting.
Right. Speaking of, whatever. Now you're making a bold move. Besides for the fact that you're up for election for the Senate this year, you've thrown your hand into the ring for Ward Committeeman.
Yes, that's correct. And it's a very difficult choice. I mean, it's I've lived in this ward for 45 years. I know Alderman Stone is our committeeman. I supported him for alderman, both elections. But the ward right now is very diverse. And it's really split if you look at how the races and the numbers that transpired in the last election. And I think it's time that we bring everybody into the political process. And that's why I'm running. I want to get everyone on the same page. I don't think it's good for a community, especially in the 50th ward, that is one of the most diverse populace in the city, to have so many different factions. And I think that being a ward committeeman is not an easy job. But your job is to want to unite everybody, to elect Democratic candidates, and I think that's what has to be done here.
Now, Ward Committeeman has so much less power than it used to, as well as so much less patronage because of the Shackman rulings and people clamping down. I mean, what can you do as Ward Committeeman?
Well, I don't think it has to do necessarily with jobs all the time. I think it's getting people involved in the political process. And I think that's something which, inspiring younger people to get involved in the political process. And I think that's the job of the Ward Committeeman. You want people working for candidates, building an organization that people can look to. It's not necessarily the jobs. It is developing and cultivating young people to get involved and keeping people involved in politics. Politics, unfortunately, over the last couple of years has had a bad rap. And it's people don't want to get into politics because there's unfortunately been some bad apples.
And are.
But I encourage a lot of people to get involved in the process. I love it. I mean, it takes a lot of work. It's sometimes a lot of aggravation at times.
Yeah, I've known you a long time. You're a political junkie. There's no question.
But I think that we have to expand the role of the committeeman here. It just can't be go to the committeeman and get the job. You got to do more. And that's what I tend to do.
Well, there's almost no jobs anymore, though.
Well, yeah, but still, I think there's more to do than just jobs. Yeah. I mean, you got to, especially in the 50th ward where you had such a heated election for aldermen last year, and there's still a lot of animosity. There's still a lot of anger out there, and you can't have that. You cannot have that in a ward. I mean, this ward is a beautiful ward. You drive down Devon Avenue, my law office, and my Senate office on Devon, and the cultures are immense. It's like everyone says it's a little UN, and it is a little UN. And you got to bring everybody together. I mean, we might not disagree, and that's part of the political process, but there has to be a dialogue, and that, unfortunately, I don't think is going on right now.
Okay. Now, how do you campaign for something like that?
Well, it's obviously going door to door, mailings, and just getting the word out. I mean, I'm not making this into a nasty campaign. I mean, that's not my style. I mean, people have a choice, and let them make. I respect the people of the 50th ward. They're intelligent voters. They know what they want, and let them make a choice. And who they want is the ward committeeman.
And now on our show, we film a bunch of shows in a day, so I don't know. I haven't figured out exactly whose show is airing which week.
Go ahead.
But the week before, I had Congressman Schakowsky on, and basically she came out very strongly for you. And I can certainly understand her motivation there. She also mentioned that Nazy Dolar was supporting you.
Well, Nazy has called my office and wants to get involved, and so has Mr. Greg Brewer wants to get involved. And, I've told both candidates, if I'm elected and if I have a choice, and, alderman, I might not choose either one of you. I mean, I want to be upfront with them because I don't know who's going to be.
Yeah, that was my next question.
And I've told specifically both of them that. I'm not making any misrepresentations here, that if you help me, you're going to be and as far as I know, Alderman Stone, God bless him, might be healthy and well and run in another 3 years, and then we'll have to deal with it. But I've told both individuals that if you want to help me, fine, but I'm not making any promises, and that's how I am. That's the type of politician I am.
Now, obviously, this splits the Jewish community, and...
Well, I don't know if it's going to split the Jewish community. I mean, people say it, but I don't know. The response I've gotten has been very positive. I don't know if it's going to split the Jewish community as everyone thinks it's going to be.
Okay, well, I can just see a scenario because things have been so tight in the last aldermanic election. I mean, there was a runoff and everything where if somebody else wants to step into the race.
Well, here it's no 51%. It's just a
plurality. Right, it's whoever wins, plurality.
And you know what? I have my record out there, and we'll see what the voters say.
Okay, well, I'll wish you luck. I'm going to wish everybody luck. And frankly, I really wanted to vote Republican this primary, and now I got to figure out what to do because I kind of like. I'll get people mad at me if I say who I like for president. So I'm not going to say that more until January.
Good enough.
But so in terms of. So basically, you're talking about door to door with the campaign and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's a precinct a committeeman election is a precinct captain election. I was a precinct captain for about 10 or some odd years. I mean, that doesn't bother me.
And of course,
get my exercise, lose some more weight.
But I mean, does the internet and all that make a difference? I mean,
it does to a certain respect. Unfortunately, the committeeman is the last. I think the last one on the ballot. So it's
right. You're after the judges and everything.
After the judges. So there's.
But these days, if you just shooting a pen to something, it's not like you had to go through all these things on paper.
But I think we'll get our name out there and we'll see what happens.
Okay, and in terms of the Senate race, so opposition-wise, I mean, you're going to get opposition from Alderman Stone.
Look, I've been representing the 9th District for the last 9 years. If he wants to put somebody up against me, I'll put my record up against that person's record and what I've done and accomplishments I've done for the 8th Legislative District. And I think I've represented the district well. I'm accessible. We have town meetings. I'm not one of these, politicians that like to hide. And the legislation that I've sponsored, whether it be education, criminal reform, health care, those things, let people decide what I've done and see if they want me to go back to Springfield.
Okay, and in terms of Congressman Siskowski, I can certainly see where she was never a big fan of Alderman Stone.
Well, I don't want to get into that conflict. That's between them two. I'm not looking for any more fights.
Well, you got two as it is, that's for sure. In any event, if people want to contact your office, one other thing real quick. I wanted to ask you too, like among the pieces of legislation you sponsored this year.
Yes.
I mean, what? Just give us. Can you give us a real quick rundown of what you sponsored this year and what bills you thought were important?
I did a couple of identity theft pieces of legislation, which I thought was very important. And the internet has been expanding, and we did some pieces of legislation to protect our identity. Also, other pieces of legislation regarding health care reform. I can go on and on. But those are the major issues that I dealt with this year. So, like I said, it was a productive year in Springfield, but I think the major issues, education, those issues did not get the attention they should have, despite a lot of us pressing.
Yeah.
Also, the 7% property tax, which I sponsored. I mean, that was a big issue, and that passed the 11th hour again. I was the chief sponsor of that, chief co-sponsor of that.
What exactly? First of all, is the governor going to sign this, or?
I have no clue with that. I have a feeling he will sign the bill, but he's waiting to analyze it. The problem is the property tax bills are held in abeyance right now.
Right. Now, let me just ask you also. Now, how is the formula going to work under this bill? In other words, is there a 7% limit to an increase?
Yes.
And is there any extra? I mean, is there a larger exemption for an individual homeowner, or
no?
So the same exemption.
Probably home to say it might be a little lower exemption. I don't have the figures in front of me, but it will help a lot of the seniors out in Chicago and the surrounding area.
Well, if it's a slightly lower exemption, how does it help out?
Well, it's going to help out. A lot of the seniors are going to get it. There's no question, based upon their income. But basically,
is it a sliding scale this time, or?
No, I think it's about 60,000. I don't have the number in front of me, but we raised it a little because the House was causing us some trouble. But it's still going to protect a lot of the seniors and people who are thinking of moving out of the neighborhood.
Okay, yeah, that definitely, because that's a scary thing, because if people, without a freeze, people could, people won't have the bus to even take whatever possessions they have and move out of their house.
The assessments were skyrocketing around at least my district.
Yeah, no, there's no question. And I saw my assessment. I'm just hoping there's some kind
No, you'll get some relief.
Okay, and I probably have another 2 or 3 questions, but I got your phone number. I got your email.
You got me.
And anyway, I want to thank you very much, Senator Ira Silverstein, and I want you to stay tuned because next comes Marty Levinson.